The world of scrap metal is truly enormous. It is a business that touches almost everything we use. Yet, most people hardly ever notice its presence. It works quietly in the background of our daily lives. This industry is like a giant, invisible recycling machine. It takes things we throw away and gives them new purpose. Metal that seems like trash is actually a valuable resource. This business is not just about old, rusty things. It's about the future. It is a crucial part of our modern world, making things sustainable. The importance of the scrap metal business cannot be overstated. It is much more than just collecting discarded items. It plays a vital role in conserving our planet's natural resources. Think about it. Every piece of metal recycled is one less piece that needs to be mined from the earth. This means less digging, less energy used, and less damage to our environment. This industry also powers economies by providing raw materials for new manufacturing. It creates countless jobs around the globe, from the smallest collector to large processing plants. It is an essential link in the chain of how we make and remake our world. Imagine the journey of an old car, a discarded soda can, or the steel beams from a demolished building. Where do these things go? They don't just vanish into thin air. Many of them enter the global scrap metal trade. This metal might travel thousands of miles across oceans. It could go from a small town in one country to a giant factory in another. This journey is complex and fascinating, involving many people and processes. It shows how interconnected our world has become, all thanks to things we might consider junk. The scrap trade truly connects us all in surprising ways. This business is all about transformation. It is where old, unwanted metal gets a chance to become something new and useful again. An old washing machine might become part of a new bicycle. A collection of aluminum cans could be turned into parts for an airplane. This cycle of rebirth is what makes the scrap metal industry so special. It's a constant process of breaking down and building up. It's a story of innovation and resourcefulness, showing how we can be smarter about the materials we use. The old metal is not an end, but a new beginning. Scrap metal sources are absolutely everywhere around us, often in plain sight. Just take a moment to look around your own home. You will likely find many items that contain valuable metals. Your kitchen is a good starting point. Old pots and pans, baking tins, and even empty food cans are all sources. Don't forget about old appliances like toasters or microwaves. In the garage, you might find old tools, broken lawnmowers, or perhaps an old bicycle. Even small things like old keys or metal bottle caps contribute to the supply. These everyday objects are the grassroots of the scrap metal stream. Beyond our homes, much larger items also contribute significantly to the scrap metal supply. Think about vehicles that have reached the end of their useful lives. Old cars, trucks, buses, and even trains are packed with valuable steel, aluminum, and copper. When these vehicles are scrapped, they provide a huge amount of metal that can be recycled. Did you know that a typical car contains over a ton of steel? That steel can be melted down and used again and again. This makes end-of-life vehicles one of the most important sources for the entire scrap metal industry. They are mountains of metal waiting for a new life. Industrial activity and construction projects are another major source of scrap metal. When old factories are torn down or buildings are renovated, a lot of metal is recovered. This includes things like steel support beams, copper pipes, electrical wiring, and old machinery. New construction also generates scrap, such as offcuts from metal sheets or unused rebar. These materials are often heavy and bulky, requiring specialized equipment to handle and transport them. This industrial scrap is highly sought after because it is usually of a known quality and composition, making it easier to recycle effectively. It's a constant flow from industry back into the system. Even the smallest metal items, when gathered in large quantities, become very important. Consider aluminum beverage cans. Billions of these are used globally every year. Recycling just one aluminum can save enough energy to power a television for 3 hours. That is an incredible saving. Other small items like food tins, aerosol cans, metal lids from jars, and aluminum foil all add up. It shows that every single piece of metal, no matter how small it seems, has value. These items are collected from homes, businesses, and public recycling bins, forming a significant stream of material for recyclers. The first step in the scrap metal journey is collection. This happens in many different ways. Some people, often called scrappers or collectors, make a living by gathering metal from various places. They might pick up discarded appliances from curbsides. They might visit small businesses to collect their metal waste. Some even search old industrial sites or rural areas for abandoned metal. On a larger scale, demolition companies collect metal from torn-down structures. Waste management companies also play a role by separating metals at their facilities. All these efforts bring the scattered metal to central points. Once the metal is collected, the next crucial step is sorting. Different types of metal have different properties and values. It is very important to separate them accurately. For example, ferrous metals, which contain iron like steel, are magnetic. Large electromagnets are often used at scrapyards to lift and separate these metals from a mixed pile. Non-ferrous metals, like aluminum, copper, brass, and stainless steel, are not magnetic. These often require more careful hand sorting or specialized sensor-based sorting technologies. The better the sorting, the higher the quality and price of the scrap metal. It's a skilled job that requires a good eye. After sorting, the metal often undergoes some form of processing to prepare it for transport and melting. Large, bulky items like cars or old appliances might be put into giant shredders. These machines tear the items into smaller, more manageable pieces. Other metals, especially lighter ones like aluminum cans or sheet steel, might be compacted into dense bales. These bales are like big bricks of metal. This processing reduces the volume of the scrap, making it much easier and cheaper to store and ship to buyers. It also helps to remove some non-metallic contaminants, like plastic or rubber. Finally, the sorted and processed scrap metal is ready to be sold. Smaller scrapyards typically sell their material to larger, more specialized dealers. These larger dealers might accumulate vast quantities of specific metals. They then sell this material to the end users, which are often mills, foundries, or smelters. The price of scrap metal can change daily, much like stocks or other commodities. It depends on global supply and demand, the type of metal, and its purity. This selling stage is where the collected junk officially re-enters the industrial supply chain as a valuable raw material, ready for its next life. So, who actually buys all this processed scrap metal? The primary buyers are factories, foundries, and smelters. These are industrial facilities that have the equipment to melt down the scrap. Steel mills buy enormous amounts of scrap steel to make new steel products. Aluminum smelters purchase old aluminum cans and parts to produce new aluminum. Foundries might buy various types of scrap to cast new metal components for machinery or automotive parts. These businesses rely on a steady supply of good quality scrap metal. It is often cheaper and more efficient for them than using brand new virgin ore mined from the earth. Once the scrap metal arrives at these facilities, it begins its transformation. The metal is typically melted in large furnaces at very high temperatures. During the melting process, impurities can be removed to improve the quality of the final product. The molten metal is then poured into molds to create new shapes, like ingots, billets, or slabs. These can then be further processed by rolling, extruding, or stamping into new products. For example, recycled aluminum might become new cans, car parts, or window frames. Recycled steel could become construction beams, appliances, or tools. The metal is essentially reborn, ready to serve a new purpose. Recycling metal is incredibly beneficial for our environment and our economy. One of the biggest advantages is energy saving. For instance, recycling aluminum uses about 95% less energy than making aluminum from raw bauxite ore. Recycling steel can save up to 74% of the energy needed to make it from iron ore. This reduction in energy use also means fewer greenhouse gas emissions. Furthermore, recycling reduces the need for mining new ore, which preserves natural landscapes and reduces habitat destruction. It also conserves water and reduces pollution. Economically, the recycling industry creates many jobs in collection, processing, and manufacturing. Everyone can play a part in this important cycle, and it's quite simple to do. Start by recycling all your metal waste at home. This includes your food and drink cans. Aluminum foil, just make sure to clean it first. and empty aerosol containers. If you have larger metal items to discard, like old appliances or furniture with metal parts, check with your local council for collection services or find a nearby scrap dealer. By making a conscious effort to recycle metal, you are contributing to a more sustainable world. Every can, every old pan, every piece of scrap matters. It helps save resources, protect our planet, and support a circular economy where materials are used again and again.